I guess it would be better if I turned on my mic. Didn't have my mic on. Siraj and Lilia was the only two that could hear me. So we're going to start this over again. You're here with Luna. We're on Luna Live Media Network exclusive uh, free Ziyad interview. We're going to have introductions and let ladies go first with Laila. I'm getting tongue-tied here. Laila. I'm going to go ahead and let you give an introduction first. Give us your name and let us know why we're here today. Sister, I got to say before we start, I have so much respect for you. Yes, it's going to be a very emotional interview for me, so if I just kind of cut out and don't say nothing, both of you got to save my back because Ziad is a very touching subject to me and has touched my heart really bad, and we will
convicted my son. The judge gave him 31.5 years. And since she could not say, oh, okay, I'm putting him in jail because he is plotting with other people, because since the boy who took the plea deal said he's not conspiring with him, she said that my son was going to Jordan, which is a very peaceful country, to act on his own and recruit people for terrorism, so he can come back, I guess, to the United States or somewhere and do something, which is crazy. So I've been for 4 years fighting for my son, traveling everywhere, trying to help my son out, trying to get the public educated and tell them, this is wrong. What is happening to us is very, very wrong. And we've been suffering ever since then. Now my son, he's in solitary confinement. He's being mistreated, and everything is just against us. Just because our religion belief is different, we are Muslims, and they're trying to use us as a scapegoat and keep on raising this false flag to the American people and tell them that there's terrorists so they can keep changing our constitution. And this is my story.
My name is Siraj Davis. I'm a human rights activist, teacher, journalist, and author. Yeah, I've worked with Sister Laila for a long time on this case. It's taken a large part of my life and a large part of my effort. I'll continue to work with her on this until her son is free. I, the first time I met Sister Laila, I didn't believe her. When she sent me the court transcripts and I thoroughly researched the case, I regretted not believing her. And I'm 100% convinced that her son is innocent. And after reading the transcripts and researching everything, I was scared. I was scared for myself and any other innocent Muslim American in America, because the value of the evidence pitted against her son, it just wasn't evidence, in my opinion. When she says that Daniel Boyd, this ringleader who was supposed to be in charge of this conspiracy to commit terrorism, when Sister Laila said that he shouldn't have testified against Ziyad Yaghi, I just want to add that what Daniel Boyd testified to, the most significant content was that he testified that all 6 or 7 men agreed that jihad, violent jihad, is justified in self-defense. That's basically the gist of what I ascertained from reading all the transcripts. That's all he talked about. He didn't testify that Ziyad Yaghi agreed to commit violent jihad. He didn't testify that they had a plan or conspiracy. All he testified was that he believed that others he spoke to understood his position and stance that violent jihad was justified in self-defense. And then, like Sister Laila just said herself, he also turned state's evidence, and he testified that Brother Ziyad Yaghi had nothing to do with any conspiracy. Him and his son both turned state's evidence and testified to this fact. What we have here is, when you look at the news articles by the mainstream, what the mainstream media hasn't shown is what the prosecution did was take all of the evidence against Daniel Boyd and claim that the evidence proved all seven were guilty, or that all the evidence on Daniel Boyd was the evidence also against the other six individuals. That's something the mainstream media did not distinguish to the audience, that the majority of the evidence was against Daniel Boyd, but they used it under the term conspiracy against the other six gentlemen that were also accused, because the evidence against Ziyad Yaghi is just farcical. It's non-existent. It's tenuous at best. I couldn't imagine how anybody could be prosecuted under such, I mean, just ridiculous claims and exaggerations. And, the American public is always afraid of the word terrorism, and we want to stay away from that word terrorism. But the unfortunate truth behind it is innocent people are being destroyed. And the families and friends of those innocent people are also hurting too. And the American people don't understand that. There's psychological trauma. There's physical symptoms. You can't attenuate that. You have to directly admit that, and you have to do something about it. You cannot claim to be a person or a country of peace and democracy and equal rights when such injustice exists. I don't care what country you are. There's no way you can do that. And I don't care if you keep the numbers of victims low. It still, in my book, means that you're not a country or
I want to go into more of this, Layla. Your son, your son has been convicted. Just his crime is association. So, from my understanding of my research, is that um, he was more or less told that you know he was convicted over assumption or accusations that couldn't actually be proven. Am I correct?
were saying things that I was like, no, is this for real? Can a judge really speak like that? The judges were saying that because my son was mentioning marriage and he wanted to get married, they said, oh yeah, it could be a code word for jihad. How can marriage be a code word for jihad? My son, in fact, met with a potential bride in Jordan. He met with a lady, with a young lady. When he came back, we went to Florida and we met with another potential bride. None of that was brought up in court. They try to hide all the evidence that will help my son get him out of jail, hide it from the jury, hide it from the public, and just put out the negative, unreal, fabricated stuff by the FBI so they would trick the American people into believing that there are terrorists over there. And the people, for some reason, don't get it because one by one, our constitutional rights are being altered. All the Constitution right now, I mean, what's left from it? And when are the people going to wake up? But our lives, now they're even killing people just because they're speaking up.
Okay, so what I'm getting out of this is that your problem of getting support it has been from actual people who can help get intimidated and afraid that if they do help, that because of the situation and the topic, um, that they would also be targeted by the United States government. Am I correct?
Yes. Some of them get deported. Some of them get put in jail for nothing. Some of them get charged. Some of them just the FBI keeps going and knocking at their door in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, to intimidate them. I had a young man come up to me. He grew up basically with my son. He told me, I'm sorry for that. I cannot even write your son because the FBI keeps knocking on my door. And, basically, these are, some of these people are immigrants. I'm not an immigrant. I was born here. And so was my mom. And, and all her ancestors were born in America. But, I mean, these people, some of them, they are immigrants. And they're first generation or second generation. And they're like this young man who came to me. I think he was born here, but his parents were not. So he's worried about his parents, and his parents are really scared and told him to stop, not to write my son, not to go visit, not all of that. So the FBI keeps on going, knocking on their door, visiting them, asking them questions. So to foreigners, to immigrants, that's something scary. They don't want to lose their citizenship, their green card. They don't want to be deported and all of that.
This is crazy. And as far as Americans who have tried to help you, and I'm gonna go ahead and also bring Siraj into this aspect. As far as Americans who also have tried to help you, also end up being targeted just because of the charges that Ziyad has onto him. Um, is not fair when a government intimidates even Americans or any kind of culture that has migrated here and use that as a card to play to intimidate people from standing up for what they feel is right. Certainly, they have their supposedly justified conviction to Ziyad, but in our country, we have the right to appeal things, as you're doing, Laila, for Ziyad, and Ziyad is also appealing. Um, but intimidating people from with personal tactics on and attacking them to scare them off from helping you, I don't see that as a right thing for our government to be doing. We have the freedom to contest, whatever we want, especially with such a serious case. I don't know. Did we mention that Ziyad was sentenced to 31 years
Yes,
in prison?
31.5 years.
Now that is a long time. That is a very long time to spend in prison for something that you haven't done. I want to let our listeners know that um, on several occasions within the U.S. court system has it been found that individuals have ended up doing, several years, and years down the road within their sentences have been proven to be innocent. So I want everyone to keep an open mind. There's a lot of different issues that come in with Ziyad's case. Uh, and you brought up one of them, Sister Layla, that, Muslims since 9/11 in the United States have been wrongfully accused of being, um, terrorist or having the intent or whatever. And it's not just with Ziyad, but many other people also. And I just want our listeners to understand that this is a topic, it's a very sensitive topic. It's majority of the time is swept under the rug in the United States. Nobody wants to speak about it because it's so serious, and just like speaking about abortion or talking about politics or gay rights or whatever. This topic is also ignored. It's seen, but it's ignored due to the sensitivity of the subject. Um, this is something that myself as an American, myself as an activist, myself as a citizen journalist, um, have no problem with bringing up, because these are the hard ones. If you can't tackle the hard issues and bring them out, who's going to? And that's why I'm so honored to have you here today, is because these things need to start being talked about. Um, so, Siraj, I wanted to go into kind of your stance on the fact that people are being singled out and attacked just for trying to help Layla. What is your experiences with this, and what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I wanted to just add a little more to what Sister Layla said, if that's okay.
Anything you want, brother. Anything you have to say.
Uh, the informants she spoke about, they are really corrupt. One was Abdullah Idarkui. He overstayed his visa and agreed to spy and tape record people in order to get a green card. He is now ostracized by the Muslim community where he lives as of now, and he deserves it. The other informant was Alvin Harris, six-time convicted felon for armed robbery. He was given 200,000 American dollars for what he did, and immunity from past crimes pertaining to armed robbery. Now, when Sister Layla talks about the tape cuts, this is one of the complaints by the defendant Haisan Sharifi. He vehemently complained that portions of the tapes were used against him and played in court, and he could not be granted access to the whole entire context, the before and after of those tape cuts. And that's precisely what the prosecution did. They played what they chose to play and did not allow or omitted the rest of the context to the defendants and also to the jury. So that is unfair in my opinion. Daniel Boyd's statements, in which Sister Layla mentioned, I want to be clear for the audience, because I don't want anybody to misconstrue what she said, because I know precisely what she's talking about. And what Daniel Boyd's statements were, basically, what he was convicted of was saying that the people in Afghanistan and Iraq were fighting for their freedom against the U.S., and that they deserved the right to defend their land, their country, and their freedom. But he also did go into further details by stating that I or we should go over there and help them. And that's what he was convicted on. Whether that was right or wrong, I'm not going to argue that. But that I just want to be clear in what Daniel Boyd said. Now, Ziyad Yaghi said nothing like that. Nothing like that. So Ziyad Yaghi had no statements like that, just Daniel Boyd. But the associations or friends of Daniel Boyd ultimately paid the price because of his stupid statements. And God forgive me for that. And for his family, too, because I know they're going through torment. But I don't believe anybody should be in prison for stupid statements, but that's what Daniel Boyd was convicted and imprisoned for. Stupid statements.
Yep, you're cutting out again, Siraj. There we go. You're back. Yeah. Yep, now we can. Yep, we can hear you again. Again, tell us how it's affected you personally. Yes, we can hear you.
He's gone.
Uh,
He's gone again. Siraj,
I said because it affected me. Yes, hello?
Yep.
Hello?
Yep, you're back.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
In regards to myself, in regards to myself, I was a victim just as well as Sister Layla, and it has screwed me up. I can't maintain relationships. I can't trust anyone, and I can't sleep at night. Uh, there are many people that can tell you this is true about me. And everywhere I turn, I don't find understanding. I find criticism. And it's a really lonely feeling. And it's even worse when you try your best to not be this way, but there's nothing you can do. Or at least nothing I can do. So I feel like I'm trapped in my own little world, and no one can really understand the pain and the hurt, except for people like Sister Layla, people that have been victimized. Because me and Sister Layla can sit down and have a conversation, and we both understand that what happened to us cannot be repaired, and now we're just fighting for justice. We're not even asking for financial compensation. We're just asking for justice. Uh, Maurice Saleh Khan, he's a human rights activist, and I think he's in New York. I met him one time. His name is Maurice Saleh Khan, and he told me about how he attended the court trial of Ziyad Yaghi, and immediately afterwards he was harassed by the FBI. Maury is an inspiration to me. I believe that some of the notable people that inspire me to continue fighting for justice are people like himself, and I know I represent the next generation of Muslim American human rights activists, and he's probably an inspiration. He's definitely an inspiration. But the harassment is very real, and I just don't understand how to explain it. You could find yourself in fights at parking lots with strangers that provoke you. You can have a pig's head dropped in front of your apartment door, and you open the door to go to work, and you got a dead pig's head in front of your door. You could have people throw rocks at your car and break your car. The harassment is not just by the FBI. It's also by a certain tiny, not a tiny, but a certain proportion of people in the U.S. that are just racist, or they're really terrified and ignorant of Islam. I mean, even North Carolina passed the anti-Sharia law bill, and I don't know why, because Muslim Americans are a minority in North Carolina. It's not like the whole state is going to turn Sharia. But they decided to take a stance and pass an anti-Sharia law, which is it's really ridiculous. But yeah, what Sister Layla is saying is the harassment is real. Anybody that gets involved in this case, and I warned you myself, Sister Luna, if you remember, anyone that gets involved in this case, something bad happens to them. It's almost as if we're dropping like flies one by one. So that's really hard for Sister Layla to be struggling to get her son free, but everyone is just dropping like flies, like one by one, or terrified into helping. And I can only say that the culprit for that is probably a bunch of racists. It's a combination or conglomeration of racists in America.
Okay, you cut out again, Siraj.
Want this
There you go.
anti-Muslim and Islamophobic movement to continue. And it's also the ignorance and racism by certain federal agents. So, and that's what we're saying, that the war on terrorism has created a lot of collateral damage, as they say, but a lot of innocent people have been harmed because of it. And, uh, I just have to say that, you know, former CIA chief agent Dwayne Claridge justified the El Mozote massacre in El Salvador, and he justified it because national defense. We're not talking about innocent people dying abroad because of national defense. We're also here. We are also on the show now. At least we're on the show now asserting that innocent Americans are being harmed because of national defense. So we have victims inside and outside of America. So people definitely need to question the prudence and the wisdom behind this national defense because it's destroying a lot of lives. And I also think that somebody needs to do a thorough investigation on federal agent Paul Manella because this is one of the guys that concocted the scheme against those 7 defendants, including Ziyad Yaghi, and the same one that decided to pay convicted felons money to tape record people. And out of 750 hours, Ziyad Yaghi's on none of them, but still he's got 31.5 years. So this case is just, if the American people only knew the facts behind this case, I think wisdom, compassion, and a love for the principles of America would compel them to say, this case against Ziyad Yaghi is wrong. And that's what we want to do. We want to continue, and we will continue, whether the mainstream media pays attention to us or not. We're engaged in a nasty fight, and Sister Laila and I don't want to fight. We don't want to fight, but we have no chance, no choice. So we're going to fight, and it's going to be a nasty fight. But that gentleman, Ziyad Yaghi, is innocent, and he does not deserve to be imprisoned. Either the U.S. government will admit it, or good people in the world will not let our country and the American people forget. That's the only thing I can guarantee. That's all I have to say now.
Thank you, Siraj.
Thank you. It's this case, as much as I know and have researched, and it's just probably not even maybe 1% of what I still need to research onto it. But as far as this Ziyad's case takes and goes into so many different issues within, the discrimination we're having against Muslims in this country, in the United States, how we're being attacked for no reason, innocently. Um, and to be American, I want to say to our listeners out there, uh, if you haven't noticed in your country, if you're American, and people who are listening from abroad, to let you know how it is into the United States, since 9/11, we more or less have, it's kind of like a civil rights thing. Now, in our court system, we're not supposed to have religion. I mean, the United States, we have religion, yes, and we have many religions, and that's our freedom as an American to be able to have whatever religion. Since 9/11, that has kind of made it a twist, and it puts it as like a civil rights kind of thing, because you can be, atheist, or you can be Christian, or you can be uh, Catholic, any kind of domination from Christians. But um, the discrimination of Muslims within the United States is getting worse, and by our government leading in this discrimination and this brainwashing of Americans that Muslims are bad, and every Muslim that lives on the planet Earth is responsible for 9/11 kind of bullshit. Sorry, but that's the way I bring it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, and it really angers me is because uh, in the United States now, because we already have a racial problem that a lot of people don't like to speak about, discrimination and racist kind of people. This problem with being Muslim has kind of turned into that kind of thing. When you say Muslim in the United States, people automatically think of Arabic people or the Middle East. They don't comprehend the fact that Muslim is from any race, culture, country, including the United States. It's not a, it's not a culture. It's a religion, and we have that right as Americans to have that religion. And the way things are right now in the United States, you're criticized and verbally and physically and mentally lynched in some cases. My personal experiences of having death threats and things of that by Americans for being Muslim myself, um, with little things like, and on top of that, I'm American. My culture is Mexican. I'm half white. Um, so I've had this kind of discrimination in my life, all my life. Um, and it's damned if you do and damned if you don't. Personally, my personal experiences with this and being American is that my 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 mother is white, my father is Mexican. So I've always been either called spick, beaner, taco bender, wetback, or a cracker from my Mexican side. You don't know enough Spanish to now being Muslim. Oh, automatically you and yours are a terrorist, and very, very insulting insults, even to death threats. And later down the line, on this media network, we will also have um, some segments and broadcast about that issue. But this is a problem, and this also, the reason I'm bringing this up, has a lot to do with why Ziyad is doing 31 years in prison, is because our government is leading and brainwashing the American people to think that whether you're American or not, if you're Arabic or have any kind of Arabic descent, even if you look Arabic, or you even, affiliate or have family members or friends who are Muslim or Arabic looking or from Arabic descent, you're automatically affiliated with some kind of terrorism, which is bullshit. It's really bullshit, and it needs to stop. Um, it's a modern 2000, ever since 2000 and ever since the 9/11 happened, it's been a problem, and it's beginning to be a new kind of discrimination, but involving religion and being discriminated against. Religion is not even supposed to be within a political party, because whoever leads has to lead everybody, no, regardless of what religion you are. So I'm kind of confused on why, for all these years, that it's being let go. And not enough Americans are standing up to really say it. They're just being brainwashed and going along with the government and what they're saying. You know, if you're Muslim, then you had something to do with 9/11, and you're not worth a shit. Well, that's bull. And as a Muslim, I am a new convert to Muslim, being Muslim, but I didn't tolerate it when I wasn't Muslim, and I'm sure in the hell not going to tolerate it now. Um, I want to bring up the fact, uh, about the corruption in our court system. Nobody wants to talk about it. Everybody wants to be shh, shh, don't say nothing. Well, I've talked to Laila about this, and she also has, because her son, I don't know, eh, not to bring out all my personal stuff, but I've lost a baby. I've lost a child, and that's about the worst feeling. I don't care where you live, where you're from, that you can have. Um, I lost my son as he was a baby. I cannot even fathom to put myself into Sister Layla's shoes. I can't. And her anger is my anger, for many reasons. So, Sister Layla, I'm going to go ahead and let you speak to us about your thoughts on the corruption in the court system. What are your feelings about this? Um, and give us your aspect. Just say what you have to say. Don't sugarcoat it. Put it. Go ahead and put it out there, sister. Go ahead.
Yes, I think people learn a lot after their loved ones become incarcerated. They learn a lot about the political system, the legal system, and so many other stuff. I learned about the prison industrial complex. Now, before they freed the slaves, they used the African Americans as slaves. And then that was, happening where everybody knew what's going on. But now they're using a system, people, and that is in the prison industrial system. They use it, they hide it, they mass incarcerate people. They use them to work for these large corporations, and where they pay them $1 a day. So these corporations are benefiting from these imprisoned people. And how can they keep it quiet? It's because they go to the minorities. Okay, now we know that if a white person committed a crime just as a black person committed a crime, that the black person most likely is going to be the one who is put in jail while the white person is not. Okay, because there's less support for minorities from everybody, from their own even family, from their own community, from everywhere, from their white friends and on and on. But I learned a lot from my son being in jail. I learned first when the judge sentenced him to the 31.5 years, she also fined him $8,000. She fined him $8,000. Now, if people have loved ones in jail, they would know that the last meal usually is at 4 o'clock. So that means from 4 o'clock and up, these young men who, need 2,000 calories or so, or at least 1,000 calories for them to be able to survive and grow because they're young, they have to buy commissary. So instead of like a Mars bar being for $1, it's going to be like $1.50 or $2. So all these corporations are making big time money off of these incarcerated people. Now, if I send my son money, if I send him over $20, that money, they're going to take it out from my son and pay the court by force, because we owe for some reason $8,000, instead of them telling us sorry for putting your son in jail one day, he shouldn't have been there, let alone 4 years, and also finding us $8,000. They should take my son out of jail and compensate us $80 million. And no matter how much they compensate us, it's not going to be enough for the time and the years and the tears that I spent crying every single night over my son. But I wish the American people understand that this legal system is so corrupt, and that there has to be some people who investigate what's going on with this legal system. The judges are corrupt. Everybody is corrupt. The prosecutors are corrupt. They like to make money because every time they put somebody in jail, they win, they get ahead, they go up in the ladder, they get to places where they make more money. It's all about money. It's all about, people don't understand. I mean, it's just crazy. It's just so corrupt. There's evil people up there who are controlling us. Most American people are good people, but they don't understand what's going on. Like I did not understand what's going on before my son went to jail. I didn't understand. And I had to learn a lot because even the phone calls, they are phone calls. So that means instead of it being a monthly bill for, $30, $50, whatever we pay for a cell phone, I have to put money on the phone. So every time he calls me, which would be like $20, $30 that I put on the phone, and if after a few days, then I have to put another more money and so on and so on. But now he's in the SHU, he's in solitary confinement, so he only can call me once a month. But this is how they make money off of people. This is how this corrupt system makes money off of people. The judges made so much money, the prosecutors made money, the jails are making so much money, and the corporations, because they have these people enslaved, in jail working for $1 a day. Wow, this is good for them, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you too. We were speaking about. I want to let the listeners know that you know the, Ziyad is in a private prison. Now, I've never heard of a private prison. I've never heard of a private prison to where he has to pay to be in prison. Now, when he was arrested and before his conviction, had a court-appointed attorney who and I'm gonna let you tell this story, Laila. Tell us a little bit about his first court-appointed attorney.
His first attorney, when he went to Jordan and found out that yes, in fact, my son was about to marry this young lady. He visited with my son's uncle and talked to him and with our relatives in Jordan and found out, yes, my son was over there to visit family members and get married. He came back. He had applied for an appellate judge or something. He won. He just dropped my son like nothing. He gave my son's case to another lawyer, which was also an appointed lawyer. This appointed lawyer basically made my son sink. Okay, he did not put any effort into this case. He was mostly like a male chauvinist. I would go up to talk to him. He would talk down to me because I'm a woman. Number one. Number two, I'm a Muslim woman, so he did not like me approaching him and talking to him. So then, of course, he did not put that much effort, so we lost the case, and not only because of him, because of the jury, who are all, from New Bern, North Carolina. That's where the trial was held. And they're all also from the South, and they really don't probably know Muslim people. Most of them were in the military or had family members in the military. So due to that, we lost the trial. But now we have a private lawyer, and he's working to get my son out of jail. But it's very hard once you're convicted to win the appeal, especially in federal cases like this, in terrorist cases. The chances like 1%. I drove to Virginia. It was about September 17th, around that time, 2 months ago or a month and a half ago. And I was in the court listening to the argument that my son's lawyer put up there. It wasn't a good argument, but there's things he couldn't mention because of the ex-lawyer didn't mention at the trial, so it's complicated the way the law system works. So he couldn't mention some of the stuff, but he couldn't mention that my son, there's proof that my son went over there to get married. But, one of the judges said, well, marriage could be a code word for jihad. And didn't seem that he was really convinced that my son went up there to get married and to visit family members for some reason. So I came back from court very, very down. And then I realized, what, this is such a corrupt system. How can, these people are there for the money. They're there to keep their jobs. How can I battle? How can I battle all of this corrupt system? How? By myself, I cannot.
This is it's unfortunate that they set you up. My personal opinion
Uh-huh.
is that the court system set you and Ziyad up from the start. You know, um, I don't know if it's been brought up yet, but we're going to let the listeners know. I'm going to ask you, Laila. Um, how long did Ziyad know the people that he was accused of being affiliated with?
First of all, some of the people, some of his co-defendants, he didn't even know them. He didn't even know them. So they cannot be conspiring with each other if they don't even know each other. And the ringleader, my son, did not know him that well. He spoke to him a few times, maybe, I would say, you know, because first of all, my son lived a little bit in New York, upstate New York with his father. He lived in Texas with his uncle. Um, then he came back and he lived with me at 18. And we didn't really know Boyd. I didn't even know Boyd until the case, I guess, or something. That's when I started knowing them more, or maybe a little bit before the case when we started being harassed by the FBI. Yes, a little bit before court. I saw his wife probably one time and saw the guy probably two times. So my son probably saw him twice, I would say. Spoke to him maybe over the phone a few times. That's about it. But the FBI and the prosecutors and all of that magnified everything times 100. They magnified everything.
Wow. I'm going to just take a little small um, I'm going to distract off. I need to say something, Layla, and
Uh-huh.
it has to do with uh, a few interviews we've done here on Luna Live Media Network.
Okay.
Um, I want to address the fact and make it known that we know that we are being watched and that we are being, maybe monitored. And that's okay. The thing is that as Americans, all three of who are on this interview today, Americans, and our country, what our country stands for, have the right to be doing this interview. If you want to listen, that's fine. I'm really glad you are. The thing is that because you stand up for yourself when you think that you're right, that's not a crime. That's being American. It's what our country is founded on, that freedom to be able to do so. What we're saying is nothing wrong. Um, Giving our side of the story, and we will continue to do so. Um, I want to let the listeners know that this subject that we are on today is very sensitive. It's very high profiled, and that is why you're watching onto the Ustream. You're seeing the stream, the broadcast go cut off and cut on. Well, this is what happens when you try to stick up for yourself. It's been happening here a lot lately. It's because we're bringing up issues that need to be spoken about. Not meaning to defend or offend anybody. I love my country. I'm sure that Sister Laila loves her country. I'm sure that Siraj loves his country as Americans. But we have the right to disagree with our government and how they react. We put them in there. We are part of the Americans who vote to put you in there. We have the right to criticize and speak up and say when you're wrong. It's our right. And we will continue to do so. I'm going to go back to our subject, Leila, and keep going if you want to. I'm going to look through my notes here and some of the stuff that I want to keep bringing up. I do want to ask you uh, about past speakings that you've done. What kind of awareness in the past that you've done for Ziyad. Also, after that, ask you what you would recommend our listeners to do to help Ziyad. What is it that the public can do? And we're not just asking for United States Americans' help. We're asking globally now. We're taking this
And
globally. It's not going to stay just within the United States. We're going to let the world know what's going on. Just in case we have any foreigners out there who want to decide to come to the United States and let you know what you're up against once you get here. You might want to rethink that or deal with how it is in the United States now. Maybe stuff that you're not aware of, how Americans are now even being treated. So tell us about some of the past protests that you've been at to support Ziyad, and what people can do if they wanna help you. What do you need, and what kind of support are you looking for?
well, mainly we have to go back and change the constitution that our forefathers had worked really hard to keep, that this country is not, that should not discriminate based on somebody's religion or ethnic background, that we should all be treated equally and not single out people. People came from the beginning when they migrated from different countries. They migrated for religion. One of the reasons they migrated for is for religion freedom. Let us all have our own freedom, whichever religion we want to worship, whatever religion we want to follow, let us follow. That shouldn't be an issue. Um, Also, our congressman, I had spoken to the congresswoman and tried to get her attention and have a meeting with her. Her name's Elaine, I think Elaine Elmore. She refused to even have an appointment with me. She refused to even see me. I heard that she was anti-Muslim. So, more than one Muslim person mentioned that. So, things like that. We need to change the laws over here that target Muslim people. This is criminal. These things are illegal. The things that the FBI did to get my son convicted is very illegal. We need somebody higher than them to investigate what has happened, okay? And then put these people in jail. There's the ones who they are the ones who should be in my son's shoes. My son that should not even serve one day. We should write our Congress people. We should write the White House. We should write congressmen, women, tell them we are not going to take this. We are not going to watch Muslim people being put in jail, dehumanized, targeted for no reason, just because of what they believe in. Just because of what we believe in. This is the only reason we are in jail. Or my son is in jail because, my heart is in jail, so it's as I am in jail.
Yes, and it's even gotten to the point to where Arabic Americans, American Arabics, cannot even research or want to go to the countries that their culture is from. I mean, it baffles me that the United States government and court system has accused Ziyad for wanting to go to, questioning him why he wants to go to the Middle East, or why he's gone to Jordan, or why he's gone to Egypt. And I also want to bring up the fact of him wanting to go to Palestine, and because he went to Israel, everybody knows you have to go through Israel or Jordan or some place like that to get into Palestine. So is it against any kind of international law to want to visit your home country where you came, your culture came from? This is the question I would ask, our government, the United States government. Is that illegal? And since when does Israel have the right to accuse an American just when they know that this is the only way, Ziyad would be able to get or even see uh, to get to know his culture. I mean, does Israel own all of Americans and what they do? If you go to Israel and you want to visit, and you're of Arabic descent, you're automatically, against Israel. I really get tired of these kind of things. I want to know your thought on that. What do you feel? What do you feel about this being Palestinian, American Palestinian, and have to deal with this and how they've, criticized Ziyad for wanting to know his culture?
Honestly, I think there's a lot of Zionists who control this country and that who are more faithful to Israel than they are to America. To me, I am more faithful to America because it's my country where I was born than any other country. And I would defend this country if something happens to it. But I fear that there's a lot of Zionists out there who control or have a big status in the government who are more faithful to Israel than they are to the United States, and that this is probably a reason why they have my son in jail. I am a poet. I don't call really myself a poet, but a lot of people do. I write poems, and I had written a few poems about Palestine, and they got famous. And I'm thinking maybe that's why they're punishing me. That is the only reason they could be punishing me, because, there's no other reason. We're not political. We have not been in politics. We do not really care about politics. But I do sympathize and empathize with the Palestinian people and what they're going through. And I had written a few poems on that. And my mom, her name is Edna, she also has written many poems on Palestine, and she's also a writer. And, they kept us probably under their watch. I'm thinking they're trying to punish me because of that, and that's why they took my son and said, this is an opportunity to teach her a lesson. I'm thinking maybe that's why, because at the trial there was no evidence against my son whatsoever, but yet he got convicted. How is that? How can you convict somebody when there's no evidence? How can you even convict somebody when that person did not do any action? For every action, there's a reaction. If somebody went and hurt somebody, then you put them in jail. If somebody committed a crime, then you do something against that person. But if that person did not commit any kind of action, how can you go and put them in jail? How can you? How can you even convict them? So I'm thinking it has to do with my poems or something.
Yes, and it's sad that you even have to sit and go through your own. I can imagine as being mom, that it makes you think, what did I do? My son didn't do anything. I did my best to be a parent and raise him to be an honorable man, a good American, and still this happens to my son. I can understand, because that's where I would be, as a parent. That's
You
where I
know,
would be.
just before they arrested my son, I had some ants on my kitchen sink, and I had brought the ant spray and sprayed them. And my son, he kind of got mad at me. He said, "Mom, why didn't you just let them be? Let nature be. Why did you kill the ants?" And after 2 or 3 days, they arrested my son. That's how soft my son's heart is. He never distinguished between a person's religion or race. He liked all kind of people. We were brought up in a multi, race and religion family. I grew up like that, and he grew up like that. My mom used to celebrate Christmas until, she became, let's say, a full Muslim. And my son also, I used to celebrate Christmas. I used to celebrate Eid. So to us, we're just like a normal American family. We don't even think about race, color, uh, religion, anything like that. We're just very open-minded people. And my son, when he was 9 years old, we went to the beach one time, and he caught a tiny, tiny fish in hand while he was swimming, and the fish, I think it was dead before he even caught it, and he cried for 3 days over that fish. Now you're telling me this person who cries over a fish, a dead fish, and who cries over, who gets mad about me killing ants on a kitchen sink is going to go somehow miraculously overseas, recruit people and start killing people? If he does not like to see an ant getting killed or a fish, he's going to just miraculously go overseas and start killing people? This does not make sense.
No, it doesn't. And it also proves the point that the way the government is right now, and it's not just the government. You have your your hate groups and radical is extreme. I don't want to say radical. I want to say extreme thinking religious people who will get on their high horse and yell from all religions. You have these extreme people who take it way too far, to put down another religion or whatever. And these groups also are not helping, because what's happening is the government is backing that kind of bullshit up, and it makes it worse for everybody. It's a divide, you know. Before I became Muslim, I didn't want anything to do with religion anymore. I thought religion in these days is being used as a war tactic to divide people. If
Yes,
they can't do
divide
it,
and conquer.
yep, if they can't do it one way, they're going to use the religion. And now it's going into the politics. And, you know, I didn't want anything to do with it. And I stayed like that for almost 4 years. I said, I put myself, I believe in God, and I'm going to have he gives me free will, so I'm going to have my free will not to have any religion at all, so I can love all religions. Um, and it breaks my heart to see the way politicians and religious leaders are using religion as a tactic for their own agenda, to divide people, even to the point, to kill people. And it's not right. It's not right
Right.
at all. Um, I want to talk a little bit. I sit here and I always imagine different stuff in my mind, and you can call it crazy or not, but I'm sitting here and just thinking about Ziyad. I want to talk a little bit about him now, and what he's going through now. Your contact with him, I know, is limited. Um, I want you to let the listeners know about his condition right now, where he's at um, in prison. Um, and I know, but I want this to come from you. Your mom, and you are the one speaking on the behalf of Ziyad right now. But I just cannot imagine him saying, "Oh man, they're sitting here talking." Man, a young American man's thought. Man, they're sitting here talking about me like I'm the third person. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
I want you to tell us a little bit about Ziyad now, and how he's doing, and his condition in prison right now.
Honestly, I don't think he's doing mentally that good when once you keep somebody in jail for 4 years and most of the time in solitary confinement, you lose trust, and you lose hope, and you stop believing in the justice system. You stop even believing in people. You stop believing in friends. You stop trusting everybody. Basically, everybody dropped him and me. People see my posts. I'm on Facebook. A lot of the community people, some of them are friends with me on Facebook. They are even scared to hit like when I put something about my son. They are scared to hit like on Facebook. That's to the extent they're scared. Um, they have him in solitary confinement in a I don't know, an 11 by 12 foot cell. It's all made out of metal. The audience could go to Facebook, my Facebook page under Laila Yaghi. They could see the pictures of how solitary confinement is. They could see my son's pictures in Egypt at the beach, which, they tried to say that beach was also a code word for jihad. They could see that my son was only a 19 years old, a 19-year-old normal boy who was goofy. There's pictures of him goofing off, on Facebook, with his friends. They could see all of that a 19-year-old is not going to do something what the U.S. government accused him of. He is not going to do that. Now he's in a cell, where he cannot see the sun, where he cannot communicate with people, and they're keeping him as even if he was an animal, I would feel bad for him. If he was an animal, I would not want him to be in that situation, let alone a human being. Any human being, regardless if he was my son or not, should not be in that kind of position.
You're exactly right. Um, I know there were some problems. I want to bring up the problems with Ziyad getting his mail, because even though he is a prisoner within public prison, private prison, or the government make up a prison, he still has rights as an American, as a human being. I want to ask you about the problems with him getting his mail. I want to ask you about the fact that if he gets, he has to have commissary, and about the charging him, this $8,000 for whatever they feel they needed to pull out their butt to charge him for. Um, I want to bring up these kind of things. Want to bring up or have you let the audience know on how they can, if they choose to, write Ziyad and let him know of support, or ask him himself what's going on, or ask him how he's doing. Um, can you give us all that information?
Yes, his address is also on my Facebook, and we have a website for him. It's called www.freeziyadyagi.info. His address is over there. They don't give him the mail all the time, but most of the time they do. Lately, he complained to me that he has not been getting the mail that he was supposed to get. They were messing with him. They tried to intimidate him over there. He's in Coleman, Florida. Um, I wish, people call the senators over there for them to stop this solitary confinement, for them to stop this illegal stuff that they're doing to Muslim people. But yes, that's what they're doing to my son right now. It's hard for him to get letters sometimes. And of course, he feels like he's backstabbed by his country and by his own people. And, you know, he needs encouragement. We need hope. We need people to stand up for us. And the lawyer also even has a hard time to even contact my son. When he tries to have a legal conference with my son, they make it almost impossible for him to have a legal conference with my son. When he goes down there to visit my son, which is also once in a great while because it's very, very expensive, so all of a sudden the jail is on shutdown, and the lawyer can't see my son. The whole jail becomes on shutdown. And I have gone there, traveled. I have to drive 12 hours to get there because I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. And also, one time the jail was on shutdown and I could not visit my son. So, they do all of these things, to just hurt us more than we're already hurt.
Yes. So I want to let the listeners know that there is a Facebook support page, also a website. Luna Live Media Network also has a free Ziyad support page. You can get information off of there. I'm going to, like I said earlier, Laila, there are many different issues that come in with your son's story here. So I want to ask you also I want to ask you also about, uh, I got distracted. And I ask you also about if we need you to come back on different issues, if you'd be willing to come back and speak with us some more on, like the treatment of what a Muslim goes through in the United States and stuff like
Yes,
this.
of course, of course.
Um,
I don't wear the headscarf, but I do have friends who do, and when I'm out with them, I could see their looks, the way they look at my friends, because they're dressed like that. I could see the hate in their eyes. We are a nation that is brainwashed by our media, and if we turn off these TVs and just get off TV and just start going out and talking to these Muslim people and see who they are for real. A lot of these people are very nice, compassionate people. Get to know them. Get to know your neighbor. Go out and talk with a Muslim person and see how compassionate, how nice and sweet these people are. Don't judge a book by its cover.
exactly. And those are things that, we're going to want to bring up. Now, with that being said, a lot of people who are not Muslim will ask the question, well, why don't Muslims stand up for, and say against bad Muslims? Um, they do. Um, Especially in the Middle East where they deal with this on a daily basis and end up having to fight these bad people, regardless whether they're Muslim, um, Egyptian, Israeli, Palestinian. They do. Um, and it's not every Muslim's responsibility to be held accountable for what another human being does. So, right is right and wrong is wrong on any side. So I want to go ahead and arrange with you at some other time for us to come back and speak about those issues.
Sure.
I'm going to give you the mic again, Layla.
Uh-huh.
We'll go ahead and wrap this up a little bit. I want you to, if you can for me, and I don't even want to start because this is going to get emotional, but I'm going to ask you to do two things for me.
Uh-huh.
Today is your show. This show is for you and your son. This show is to let the world know about the injustice that has happened to Ziyad, because you're his voice now. What I want you to do, if you can for me, is I want you to speak to your son and give us your feeling. And then I want to also ask you after that is to speak to the people internationally and let them know as a mother what you need and what you want. And then we'll play Ziyad's video again and then wrap this up a little bit. I do want to also um, let everyone know that this media network will be 100% behind the mother of Ziyad and support of Ziyad in anything and everything we do. If you see the name Luna Live Media Network, you're going to see Ziyad's name. And it's going to be strong. And we're not going to stop till we get some kind of justice for Ziyad. Okay, Layla, I love you and I thank you so, so much for being here today. You are such a strong person. You I've only known you a little bit, but I think about you even when I can't think about myself. Um, I don't know what else to say, but Allah's gonna gift you. I can feel this. He's with you. He's with us
Thank
all, and most
thank
of all, he's with Ziyad.
thank you. Love you too.
Go ahead and talk to your son, sister, and then let the world know, as a mother, what you need.
I want to tell my son that I love him so much. I'm there for him. and I'm not going to stop fighting for him no matter what. I'm there. Even if I'm old and walking on crutches, I'm still going to be there for him. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get him out of jail, to make people aware of what's going on. And I'm going to be there for him. I love him. I think about him every single minute of the day. He is my life. He is my everything to me. I cannot stop thinking of him. This hurts me more than it hurts him, probably, that he is in jail. His future has been stopped. Our life has been interrupted. And I do have a lot of hope in people, but I have much, much more hope in God. I believe that God is not going to let injustice happen. And just look at it. I do pray a lot to God, and I'm hoping that this situation will be over soon. I'm hoping that these judges will stop being so greedy. I hope, because greed is a sin, basically. I hope people will remember that we all die and that we are either going to go to hell or to heaven. And even if you're atheist and you do not believe in an afterlife, we still have to do something good for each other and for human being as a whole, regardless of their race, religion, or ethnic background. We all should be one. We should all care for each other, no matter what, and we should not let greed come in our way. We should not let these judges or this legal system or this corrupt system, because of money or for political reasons, destroy innocent families and ruin their lives for them, interrupt their lives. My son was about to go to college, before they arrested my son. He was about to go to college. If somebody was planning on doing anything, they would not want to go to college. They would not have a two-way ticket back and forth from Jordan back to United States. There would not be a normal kid acting goofy and silly. My son was very goofy and silly. Now you talk to him, oh my God, he has matured. It's sad. It's sad to see a little kid grow up, a young man, a little kid I call because he was 19, goofy, grow up in jail. It's sad to see that. It harms you as a mother that you had lost 4 years of your life with your son next to you. And now all of a sudden, everything is interrupted. He's in jail. I want people to stop having blindfolds on their eyes and earplugs in their ears and to listen to the voice and the cries of mother, the cries of human beings. I want people to put race and ethnic background and religion aside. I want people to wake up and think with their brain and think with their heart, that when you hurt somebody or you call somebody a name, like when you told me that you grew up, when you grew up and people used to call you names that hurt me, that touched me. Everybody should feel for another human being. We all should be one. We should not look at each other anything but as we're all humans and we're all equal. And that's how God created us. God created us as equal human beings, and only we are the ones with the smart brains who distinguish between one human being to another, between one race to another, between one religion to another. We are the ones who are corrupt, and we are the ones who do this to each other. And this should not be. We should just stop that. Whoever is listening to this, if you call any person or you distinguish between any person or you mistreat any person, you should stop that. We should all have positive energy. We should all, nothing negative should come out of our mouth toward any other human being. If you say anything negative to a human being, you do not know how much that person for years and years and years is going to have it in his heart and in his mind, and how it's going to destroy him or her. This is wrong. I'm a teacher. I teach little kids all the time, and I see how when I talk positive to kids, the positive reinforcement, how it makes them shine and laugh and smile, and even their performance in school is so much better than if somebody said something negative to them. I had a young boy, about 8 years old, come and tell me that his father called him lazy. And you know, when somebody calls you lazy and you're going to think, then you're going to think about yourself as if you're lazy, and then your performance is going to be low also. So I told him, no, honey, you are not lazy. You're a very smart human being. And so and so. And his grades now with me are 100. So positive reinforcement, always think about the words before you utter them. It's very important not to just say anything negative to any human being, because you might destroy that human being. That human being might have been abused. That human being might be sensitive. That human being might think that they're ugly or something. Always something positive. Let positive always shine, come out of your mouth, and let's get away with this negative stuff. Let's all be broad-minded, open-minded. I love you, my son. I will always fight for you till I die. I love you, Luna. Thank you. I love you, Siraj. Thank you so much for your help and for speaking up for my son. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Don't forget me on Facebook, please.
Yes. Don't forget to even if you don't support, just familiarize yourself with Ziyad's story, because it's not going to go away, and you're going to end up hearing about it regardless, whether you agree or you don't. And I stand 100% with my sister, what she just said about positive reinforcement. Um, Putting all race, religion, culture, anything to the side. We are all human beings. We were all brought here the same way, born into this world the same way, and we will all die the same way. Um, Whether you make a choice to have a faith in God, or you don't, that fact cannot go away. It's 100% fact, is that we're all human beings. Put a little bit of more empathy into your life, and at least care. It's okay to disagree. It's part of life. We agree or we disagree. If we can somehow in the world, in these days, with all the negativity, the corporate divide, the government dividing of people, even religions dividing the people, keep a common sense in our brain and teach our children the same, is that we are all human beings, and we can agree to disagree without hating in the middle of any of that. We're going to close now for Luna Live Media Network. This has been an exclusive with Laila Yaghi and also Siraj Davis, myself, Luna. Um, we'll be back doing these, and we'll let you know upcoming interviews and topics that we'll be speaking on. Thanks everybody for being around. I know there's a lot of you out there. Sorry for a few of the uh, cutoffs during the broadcast, but we will be uploading this in full. Um, if you missed us for the interview, so people can see it in full. Have a nice Saturday, everybody. Thank you very, very much. Keep the love and peace in your heart and your life, and God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.